Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Right now at 10, the city of New Haven swearing in its latest police recruits. The climate those new officers will have to deal with in the Elm City.
Plus, the investigation is on to find the person responsible for intentionally shooting fireworks at dogs in kennels. We'll bring you the latest from the incident at the New London Animal Shelter.
I had tremors, I was shaking like I had Parkinson's. I went undiagnosed for the next 11 years, but I became a sickly child.
One local woman speaking out tonight after a tick bite changed the way that she lives her life. And today marks a new era for the New Haven Police Department with a new chief at the helm and a new class of police officers joining the force. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Fox 61's Alicia Machado joins us live in New Haven tonight, where a graduation ceremony was held. And she has more after speaking with the recruits and the new chief about moving forward during a particularly challenging time for the department. Alicia.
Yeah, well, these new recruits tell me that they're ready to make a change. We spoke with the newly sworn in police chief, who says this is an opportunity to get more officers out on the streets and also to train them properly.
Solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of police officer.
A new lineup of officers joins the New Haven Police Department. 20 recruits graduating from the New Haven Police Academy Wednesday, each with a different motivation for joining the force.
It's been a lifelong dream ever since I was a little kid, and I've always just wanted to help people.
The Black Lives Matter marches back in even like 2017 is really what got me wanting to be a police officer, just to make a difference and really impact where I'm living.
This comes at a troubling time for the department. An investigation underway into the serious injury of a man while in police custody, 36-year-old Richard Randy Cox.
Both the chief and I have said many times, the way in which Mr. Cox was treated was completely unacceptable. It will not be tolerated. Inappropriate action will be taken. And we will do everything in our power to make sure this incident doesn't happen again.
And in the weeks since Cox was paralyzed, cries from the public for change.
Justice for Randy Cox!
Moving forward, New Haven's new police chief, Carl Jacobson, says the department is working toward ensuring procedural justice.
Giving people a voice, listening to people when you show up on a scene, treating them with dignity, being neutral in your decision making, and then just building trust. And those are really, they sound easy, but they can be difficult. And we failed at that recently, right? So we need to concentrate on that.
Despite the challenges not only in New Haven, but across the nation as communities rally for policing policy changes, recruits say they're hoping to make a difference.
I hope to just bring a different face to that and really bringing back that community aspect of the policing.
Now, Mayor Ellicott says this is the first class to receive a type of use of force and de-escalation training called ICAT, which will be a future requirement for all New Haven police officers. We're live in New Haven tonight. Alicia Machado, Fox 61 News.
All right, Alicia, thank you very much. Well, some Connecticut lawmakers are thinking about police vans and seatbelts in the wake of the Richard Cox incident in New Haven. Right now, different departments have different prisoner transport policies. Very few police departments still use those large prisoner transport vans. Fox 61 only found them at big city departments like New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, and New Britain. Some have seatbelts, others don't. During the last legislative session, State Senator Martin Looney proposed a bill that would require law enforcement to immediately provide medical attention to anyone complaining of illness or injury at the time of their arrest.
One of the benefits of it is that it would prevent the police from having to be in a position of trying to evaluate how serious somebody's complaint is.
We practice a lot in the academy on how to put people inside of a vehicle, how to seatbelt them in, how to take them out of the vehicle, just to ensure that nobody gets injured while we're dealing with our prisoners.
State Senator Looney says that he's considering a standardized policy for how departments should handle the transport of prisoners and whether these prisoner vans should be required to have seatbelts. Well, the U.S. Justice Department is now monitoring the ongoing investigation involving Richard Cox. U.S. Attorney Vanessa Avery releasing a statement this afternoon saying in part, quote, "My prayers are with him and his family. If federal action is warranted, the Justice Department will pursue every available avenue to the full extent of the law," end quote.
All right, now to the weather watch. After what was a gorgeous night out there.
Wasn't it nice?
Beautiful. It was so nice.
A little humid and warm earlier, but things cooled off a little bit. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, and it's going to be a comfortable night ahead if you want to open up the windows. You know, initially we were talking about the chance for some showers later this week, but things have really dried up. I think the big story here moving forward is actually going to be the lack of rain. This is rainfall totals from now through Tuesday of next week to give you an idea of how little is on the way. So unfortunately, the drought situation in parts of the state is going to get worse before it gets better. Right now, we are quiet out there. The clouds have dissipated for now, but we have more clouds that will be heading in as we head towards daybreak. Unfortunately, though, again, these showers are going to stay away from us, but they're out here on the board. They're just not heading in our direction. Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s. Overnight low temperatures will be dipping back into the lower to middle 60s as we head towards daybreak. Again, I think with the humidity dropping back at least temporarily, it will be a comfortable night ahead for sleeping. And then the humidity rises a bit as we head through the day tomorrow. Starting the day off tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds, temperatures beginning in the 60s. By 2 o'clock, we're in the upper 70s, and we'll see high temperatures in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees as we head through the afternoon. Slight chance for a sprinkle. Most towns stay dry, but it will be cooler than it was the last couple of days, again, with highs in the 70s to around 80 degrees. Where do we go from here? And a look ahead at the weekend, your full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. Now to a developing story in Deep River. Activists for the Black community are calling for a man to face hate crime charges after a video shows him pushing an 11-year-old off his bike. Jamison Chapman currently faces third-degree assault, risk of injury to a child, and breach of peace charges. This video in Deep River last Monday shows Chapman pushing Daniel Duncan off his bike. The sixth grader was injured. Activists for the Black community call it harassment. Reverend Dr. Boise Kimber, alongside Duncan's mom, say this would be a different situation if he was white.
We are in Deep River, Connecticut, and there are not many of us. Why did he have to single out this one biracial Black individual?
We have to stay present, and we have to stay diligent and awake.
Kimber and Dominique say they would like town leaders and school officials to sit down with the family to discuss what happened and what can change to prevent it. Deep River First Selectman Angus McDonald says the town's planning workshops and public forums to address the issues. Fox 61 reached out to the state attorney's office pursuing the charges against Chapman to see when or if they'll pursue hate or bias crime charges. We're waiting to hear back.
Well, we now know the name of the man who was shot and killed in New London last night. Police say 25-year-old Abdiel Rodriguez was shot late last night near Coleman and West Pleasant Streets. He later died at the hospital. Police say that the incident doesn't appear to be random. Anyone with information should contact New London Police.
Well, a frightening 4th of July for shelter dogs in New London. An animal control officer says someone shot fireworks off right next to the shelter.
And when the officer arrived on scene, debris was found inside of those kennels. Fox 61's Gabby Molina live in New London tonight with more on what happened here. Gabby.
Ben, Sarah, even days after the 4th of July, there's still signs of what happened here. Take a look. There's this big burnt patch of grass with a bunch of firework debris still left over. This is where it appears that those fireworks were shot off. From there, it looks like they were shot off towards the building behind me, hitting the roof and even the area where the dogs are held. For the dogs at the New London Animal Shelter, the 4th of July was anything but fun.
For an animal who doesn't understand what's going on, it must have been terrifying.
Fireworks are scary enough for animals, but it appears dozens of them were set off right next to the dogs. Animal control officer Robert Yukinick says he was horrified the next morning when he found firework debris all around the building, on the roof, and even inside the kennels where the dogs are held.
The callousness and cruelty to light off fireworks right here, and especially once they start hitting that building. Maybe the first one was a mistake, but everyone they fired after that, they knew what was going on. And you can hear the dogs barking, and I'm sure they were going crazy.
Fortunately, none of the 12 dogs there that night were hurt. But for many who were heartbroken to hear of the incident, it's not much consolation.
I just can't understand the cruelty that anybody could do that to innocent animals. They couldn't get away from them. It was just awful.
It's a very sad thing when a human being will do things that antagonize a animal that's defenseless and caged.
The animal shelter is located inside Bates Woods Park. Yukon Access Police did respond there for reports of fireworks that night, but didn't see anyone. He says there are no surveillance cameras at the park or the shelter, but hopes that will change soon. His Facebook post about the incident received hundreds of comments, many of them offering to donate to purchase cameras.
Maybe we can get the ball rolling and do some fundraising and maybe get some cameras down here to prevent stuff like this in the future.
He's also hoping whoever did this comes forward.
The person was not here by himself lighting off these fireworks. There were other people here. I'm hoping one of those people has a conscience and realizes the damage that they did and they could have done.
If you have any information on who might be responsible for setting off the fireworks at this park that night, you're asked to give New London Police a call. Live in New London, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.
All right, thank you, Gabby. And as an animal lover myself, I can just imagine how terrified those animals were. Thank you. Well, New London's fire marshal says a fire over the weekend was intentionally lit. It happened on Rosemary Street Saturday night at an apartment building. Officials say 2 firefighters were injured and the building suffered significant damage. Police have issued a $25,000 reward for information leading to an arrest.